Just keep asking why, and why, and get to the root cause. Pull the root out and don't just cut branches off a tree.
You know, it's interesting that he uses this tree analogy, right? If you don't prune it, it's going to end up with problems.
Hello and welcome to the Help Is Here podcast, brought to you by the Beyond Compulsion Academy. There's a lot of people on the internet talking about NoFap and porn addiction recovery. And Mary Paulus has actually worked in addiction recovery for 36 years. Mary's method, the Beyond Compulsion method, is a thing that's helped me get out of this porn addiction. Now in this video, I want to analyse a different YouTuber's videos. Someone who has over 2 million subscribers and in my opinion, is talking a lot of rubbish. So let's get straight into it.
Back in 2020, when I was heavily addicted to doing this stuff, I'd say, 3 or 4 times a day at the worst. I was cut from the basketball team a few months before this, so I lacked ambition.
So over to you, Mary. Why is that not a good way to think about things?
Wait, when did he get cut from a basketball team? Was this like childhood trauma or something?
Yeah, it's his childhood trauma, yeah.
Man, grasping at straws, looking for reasons, you know? Well, maybe he went to therapy and they got down to the fact that how he was so damaged by being cut from the basketball team, you know? I mean, welcome to the world. You know, you don't get everything you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just a matter of, you know, like I said, grasping at straws. This is why I do it rather than I looked at porn when I was very young. I got addicted neural pathways and now I'm wired that way. So what's it? Does he have a way to get out of it now that he resolved his getting cut from the basketball team trauma and now he's good?
Yeah, I'm not sure how to answer that really, because he had one of his videos like 11 months ago talking about relapsing. So I don't know how well he is now. Hopefully he's doing good. But yeah, in this video he talks a lot of rubbish really, a lot of advice. I know he's very young and he does say in his video like, hey, he says along the lines of like, hey, I'm not an expert here. I'm just sharing like what's works for me, because he's kind of gone on these long no-fap streaks. He's done well in that regard. And now he kind of wants to share his experience, his story with others. But I think what's very dangerous about it is many of his views do have millions of views. And you said something really interesting yesterday. You said that a lot of these people, they're trivializing the problem. You know, it's becoming this like sort of gimmicky kind of self-improvement hack without really understanding addiction and taking this a bit more seriously and seeing that this is often like a really, really massive issue in a person's life. So yeah, let's go on to a few more of the videos then and let's see what else he says.
Just one second. Isn't he up in the corner of that last clip in the gym doing squats or something looked like?
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same old rubbish, as you call it, you know?
Yeah. He does talk about some of the sort of self-improvement stuff as well. And he may even say it in one of the videos that we shared today.
Just keep asking why, and get to the root cause. Pull the root out and don't just cut branches off a tree.
Well, it's the same old thing with the root cause. In therapy, you know, the basketball team, you know, whatever, it's like that. Okay, so the root cause is not rocket science. It's not like something you have to go dive into therapy for, 10 years to uncover these, hidden drives for this, when it's just simply you get addicted to pornography on a screen when you're vulnerable, age, and then that's how you're wired. It's kind of the same old stuff, just keep asking why. I would say how am I going to get the hell out of this mess?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And it's so important as well, because how it works in addiction is the addicted part of the mind's always going to be looking for explanations and trying to cut off more branches. You know, he talks about, don't just like cut off these branches of the tree or whatever, like get to the root cause, but there's always going to be these different branches if you look for the why. I remember going down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out the why behind my porn addiction. And I ended up like going back into my childhood and I had like all these crazy different storylines, like this happened to me when I was this years old, and then this happened, and then this, and then this, and then this. There's always more that you can unravel. but does it help you get out of a porn addiction? Well, no, because it's about what's going on in the present moment that really matters, and how do you actually change these neural pathways like right now instead of caring for what you can't control about, which happened in the past.
You know, it's interesting that he uses this tree analogy, right? Because the thing is the root in a tree can be just fine, and if you don't prune it, it's going to end up with problems, you know? And for me, pruning is kind of a philosophical thing, because like branches in a tree that grow into the middle and grow the wrong way, those are the ones you cut. They're going the wrong way, right? And then there's what's called suckers that also grow, that come out of the main branches of the tree, and they grow straight up. And they just like, they suck the energy of the tree, right? So you you got to prune the tree. You got to cut out the branches that are going the wrong way. Um, and there may not be a problem with the root, but if you don't tend to the tree and prune it and take care of those branches, you're probably going to end up with a root problem, you know,
Yeah.
which is exactly what we talk about with the porn. It's like you're in it long enough, then you do end up having a horrible problem of depression and anxiety and all this, because, you know, because you have this addiction that you can't get yourself out of. So, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is
Not
as
a
well
good
that
analogy by him. Yeah.
if you like zoom out on this kid's problem, because I think he's only like 19 or so, and so 2020, this would have been when he's maybe 14 or so, I'm guessing,
Right.
when he got cut from the basketball team. If we compare him having access to high speed internet porn and wiring his brain to like crave internet porn versus being cut from the basketball team, like it's very, very obvious which one of those two things is worse. It's just we
Right.
don't see this as like a massive problem. We don't see that actually you growing up with internet porn, watching this day in, day out, 3-4 times a day as like a traumatic thing to go through. But it is, like, it honestly is. Like, honestly, when I think back to how I used to be, like the questions I'd have, like the whys that I had, that in itself was horrendous. That was
Yeah.
scary. Like not knowing how to trust myself, not knowing how to deal with this problem, feeling so out of control, like keep on telling myself I'm going to stop this behavior and then going back to it. Like being in the porn addiction is incredibly traumatic. That's a horrible, horrible thing to go through. Being cut from a basketball team, I mean, yeah, it may suck, but it doesn't compare. Like porn addiction is scary. Like, it's a horrible, horrible thing to be in. So, I just think
Maybe
it's
you're
so
just not very good at basketball.
yeah, and like that's not the end of the world, is it? I mean,
No, find a
I
different
remember
sport or hobby, right?
yeah, exactly. But it's not the problem. But what happens in the addiction is there's a part of your mind that tries to rationalize and understand and excuse it. And then what this guy has done is he's kind of just taken a load of information from other people on the internet and put it into a video. And he's very transparent about that. I don't think he's trying to come across like, oh, I'm definitely the expert. I know what I'm talking about. He's not. And he doesn't. So it's at least he's honest about it. But the problem is it's getting millions of views. And so you got all these teenagers growing up listening to this guy, and they're just going to keep on going around in the same circular way of thinking, and they're not really going to be able to get out of this problem very well.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
exactly.
Let's
Yeah,
go for another video then.
yeah, let's see more.
Your brain wants dopamine if you want to get psychological with it. And the number one way it can feel loved, your mind, your body can feel loved, is by watching those dirty websites and doing that act.
That's how you feel loved?
Crazy, isn't it? I've never felt loved by going on Pornhub and watching porn. Like, that is just glamorization straight up,
Oh my
like
God.
out of the book. What happens when you're in addiction is a part of your mind glamorizes the behavior, tries to find some
God.
good in it. But yeah, watching porn, that's not making you feel loved. That's the addictive part of the mind saying some bullshit. Do you want to expand on that a bit more, Mary?
Well, it's really just criminal to me that, I mean, these women in these porn videos or the OnlyFans or the whatever, they're all acting. They don't love you. And to try to make you feel that way, to get you to engage with this, because they're obviously motivated, especially the OnlyFans, right? To get you to keep paying money to engage with them. It's like, it reminds me of the AI stuff, the one of our clients who got sucked into the AI lady who started calling him by name, or the chat GPT or whatever it was. And I was watching Law and Order, and like the newer episodes of Law and Order, they're starting to bring in like AI cases and stuff like that. And Bruno, one of the guys, is like, well, I have to admit, I did have a chat with the chat GPT, and the lady's voice, it was very seductive, and he's just talking about how this chat GPT lady's voice was seductive, and I'm just like, holy crap, no, they don't love you. It's not love. And the whole dopamine thing that he mentioned too, it's like, why is it that we think that we got to get this dopamine all the time? It's like dopamine just happens naturally, and we've wired ourselves to like get more of it or something by all this really fast, instant gratification, pornography, drugs, whatever, you be you, just do whatever all the time. Dopamine's like a natural occurring thing that happens when you do things that make you feel good, but thinking you need way more of it, or somehow you deserve it, or it's like your reward or something, that's just the whole dopamine focus, I think, is really off base.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just
we hear
to
that, we hear it all the time now,
just
dopamine,
to
get my dopamine fix.
Yeah, I want to make this really clear because I think so many people think that understanding dopamine is going to help them with porn addiction. And yet so many people understand the ins and outs of dopamine. Maybe they've read The Molecule of More. Maybe they listen to Andrew Huberman. Maybe they've read some of these other books by neuroscientists. So they understand dopamine. They understand that it's this molecule in the brain, which is about anticipation of a particular reward as such. And,
Yeah.
it's created due to these evolutionary, all this stuff, blah, blah, right. And we could talk about that all day long, but how many of those people who understand dopamine understand how to deal with this problem inside and out and feel good, like genuinely feel so confident that they could talk about this problem to anyone at any time, and they're in this position where it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's not a problem for me anymore. I'm good, well, very few. And yet millions of people understand dopamine, and yet millions of those guys who understand dopamine are still struggling with porn because
Yeah.
understanding the dopamine side of things, it's not what sets people free. It's knowing how to deal with the desire, the compulsive desire, which helps people overcome this problem. And that compulsive desire is really about temporary relief from the discomfort of withdrawal, and it's choosing to engage, which creates the desire to engage again. It's not about the
Yeah.
dopamine. Your brain's wired in a certain way, and so now you're going to want to engage in this behavior because you have these addictive neural pathways.
Like literally never in my entire life, until I started working with you, to hear this word so much, never in my life did I ever think, oh, I want to get some dopamine. I need some dopamine. And, it's like, it's such a, hashtag dopamine. I don't know. And I did my share doing drugs and whatever when I was young. I partied and whatever, but never thought, oh, got to get my dopamine. But the
Yeah.
thing is it's like, when you have an addiction, your whole system and your pathways is off, and it's exactly what you said. You're not going, oh, I got to get this dopamine. You're going, I want to get out of this discomfort of withdrawal, because I feel uncomfortable, and somehow like dopamine is going to be the answer to that. No, let's not talk about dopamine anymore.
Yeah.
86 it, baby. Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next one then.
Once you get an urge, transmute it into the thing that you have decided you're going to transmute it into this month. 4 steps.
Transmute
the sexual energy into the thing that you want to achieve. So, put this strong sexual energy into going to the gym, that kind of thing.
That it just always makes me think of, we'll call him one of our clients who, it was so funny. He'd been trying to go to the gym, go to the gym, go to the gym. He said one day, just walked in there, got on the treadmill, turned it on, went, fuck this, turned it off, went home and used porn. It's like, yeah, no. So the idea is you just have all this extra energy, and you're gonna transmute it into higher goals or something. That's the idea, I assume.
Yeah, pretty much. So Napoleon Hill wrote a really good book called Think and Grow Rich. And in that book, there's a chapter on sexual transmutation. And I think a lot of people have probably read that book, and now they're trying to apply what he talks about with regards to sexual transmutation to treat their porn addiction. But it's so flawed in so many ways, because what it just leads to is so many unanswerable questions, so many junky thoughts. And then you have this focus where you think that the problem you have is really to do with this excess sexual energy, when it's not. Like, a lot of the time it's just that you have compulsive desire and you want to engage in the behavior. It took me so long to realize this, because I was so deep in the sexual transmutation world and I believed all these lies I was taught. But having, worked with you now for like a year and 10 months or however long it is, I realized that thinking in that way was just holding me back so much. It was such an irrational way to think. And even if there is some, sexual energy, even if that is a real thing. And I think a lot of guys, if you do, abstain from sex, abstain from masturbation, you probably do feel that energy at times. But the question isn't, okay, what do I do with this energy? Do I put it into the gym or do I put it into porn? The whole, like, it becomes this conflated choice. And the choice when you're in addiction is, okay, do I stay in the addiction or do I actually experience the temporary discomfort to get out of it? That's the only choice there ever is. Once you start throwing in sexual transmutation into the mix, then you got all these different choices. Your brain's going to get very overwhelmed, very confused. And if you have an urge at 3 a.m, do you want to be that guy who goes, okay, I'm going to go on a run now, like live this crazy, insane lifestyle where you're doing all this weird shit to try, transmute your sexual energy? Or do you want to be able to just deal with the mind, which is where the problem's actually going on? It's not in your body. It's not this energy. It's just a problem in the mind.
Yeah. I mean, there's a big difference between sexual desire and compulsive desire.
Yeah.
Sexual desire is going to happen. Compulsive desire is not natural. It's something that you get wired in a way that is not serving you. Sexual desire is natural and you can deal with that in whatever way you see fit, but it's not trying to figure out the difference or whatever is not gonna, so that you go, okay, I have this desire, now I'm going to transmute it into something else. Like you said, it's just going to bring up a lot of unanswerable questions, right? And learning to understand the difference and being able to treat compulsive desire, then sexual desire just becomes a natural thing that you deal with in a way that is safe and good, and and serves you and the people around you, hopefully too, right?
100%. Yeah. I think sexual transmutation can also sort of, it's got a lot of parallels to like substitution and the detour to disaster, where you try and replace one behavior with another. But the problem is that there is no substitute for the compulsive behavior. Like, once you're engaged in this psychological, emotional dependency on a mind, mood, or to an experience, like your neural pathways are wired and they're addicted, nothing is going to compete with that thing that you want. And so it's really about learning how to experience the wanting, think it through rationally and change those neural pathways. Otherwise, that desire is going to keep on coming back and back and back. Yeah. And so, going to the gym, taking a walk, finding your purpose, maybe creating a business, doing a YouTube channel, none of those things are going to cut it in terms of actually changing the neural pathways. This is just a separate thing. It's a separate path in the brain. All right, let's go on to
heroin might work for a while.
Yeah, heroin or a different compulsive behavior, sure. But it's crazy. All right, let's go on to the next one.
When you're laying in bed and you have an urge and there's no really way you can transmute your energy, because that's probably where most of us are going to fail, is in bed when we're tired. That's all we really want. I want you to fall into a meditation.
Fall into a meditation?
Yeah, I knew you'd pick up on that language.
I mean, come on. Are any of these 2 million viewers or whatever, and these last couple people that we've looked at their videos, even Trish, Lee, whatever, is anyone getting bored with that same bullshit information? You're gonna fail. You're in bed. So fall into a meditation. How many times can people be told that you're gonna meditate this thing away? It's not gonna work. It's just, but it's all, video after video after video after video that ends up in meditation. I don't know. I find it to be, I think these guys will be getting pretty damn bored at this point, but
it's crazy. It's crazy how basically, like me and Andy were talking about this last night. Like Andy, who runs the podcast studio, is that essentially all these people are just regurgitating the same information over and over and over because there's a shit ton of money in here. Like that's just the truth, to be straight. There's a lot of people struggling with porn addiction. So what these people are doing is they're reading a few of these books, maybe by neuroscientists, and definitely watch the podcast or the YouTube video where I kind of expose why millions of people are stuck in a porn addiction right now, where I go through the books, which are like most common. So things like Your Brain on Porn, things like Atomic Habits, and I fully dissect and analyze the language which is keeping people stuck. And essentially what I'm now seeing is that all these supposed experts are just taking these books, taking the same ideas, and then just presenting them in different forms. And I feel like I did this in the past before you, Mary, so that I can fully hold my hands up and be like, look, I know that that shit doesn't work. And I know that it's very appealing to go down that route, but it's all bullshit because it doesn't work. Like, how few people actually overcome porn addiction? And yet what's happening is people are normalizing being stuck in the addiction. It's almost like this guy, saying, oh, we're going to fail kind of thing. It's like,
Yeah.
that's the language used because everyone's using the same approaches, the same methods, but everyone's just going around in circles. Whereas with our clients, like we're seeing success day in, day out. Like literally our guys are just thriving. Like the message we had this morning from a guy, just like, hey guys, gonna leave the program. I'm good, basically. I'm gonna crack on now.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. And then it's just like, okay, cool. See you later.
It's interesting because we've been talking about our intros and our thumbnails and do we do reels, things like that. And we want to like not do that, even though it's kind of like the thing that gets people sucked in or whatever. These people, they get the flashier thumbnails, they get the flashier reels and whatever, but then they get sucked into the same shit, right? And this totally reminds me of years ago, my Zach's dad, my ex-husband Steve, and we went down to Las Vegas to pick up this car, right? And we're thinking, oh, Las Vegas, the lights, all the flashy lights, right? So sorry, Steve, I'm exposing you. He's retired now, so it shouldn't matter. But we ate mushrooms, right? we're thinking, oh, the lights of Las Vegas, right? So you go and it's like it's so intense, the lights, and then you go into the casino, right? And then we're just like, oh my god. Or I was started to work with nicotine addiction back then, so I had the education, right? But it was just like, oh my god, here's all these people just like super addicted, and they smoked in the casinos back then, and they're sitting at these slot machines, and just the addiction. It was so apparent. And then they like give them booze, if you sit at a blackjack table that pays out a lot of money, or you pay them a lot of money or whatever, they'll give you booze too, right? To keep you in that addicted state. And then I just got where I couldn't take it. It was like, okay, the lights were one thing, and because we're altered too, right? Our vision's like, ooh, or whatever. But every time we'd like walk in, here's the flash at the entrance. We walk in, and then it would be like, oh my god, it's the same disgusting addiction stuff, right? And so poor Steve, I'm like, I need to get out of here, right? So we literally, it was like, I don't know, 1:00 in the morning, we hightailed it out of Las Vegas, and we didn't stop till we got to Yosemite, which is this beautiful national park, but and then when we were leaving, I remember seeing like this guy like in a bathrobe getting off a bus and, sneaking into this back door of this casino. And it was just so apparent to me how ugly it all was. But all the flash would get you in the door. And it's just kind of like these thumbnails, and these reels and the flash. But then it's the same shit once you get in there, you know?
Yeah. It
That's
really
an
is.
analogy, but it just made me think of it,
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. I think it's so important to just learn something outside of what you've been taught so far if you still got the same problem. It's like that Einstein quote, isn't it? It's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing
Yeah.
over and over and over and
Yeah.
expecting different results. It's just not going to happen. Like, you got
Mhm.
to change the way you think and learn how to deal with compulsive desires and then
Yeah.
move on. And you'll look back and honestly, like the guys in our program, if they watch these videos, they will be like, oh my God, I can't believe I listened to those people as well. Like, because a lot of the guys, they've taken the same advice as me because you know, you look at the guys with millions of subscribers and you think, well, yeah, maybe there's something here then. You know, this guy's successful. How's he done that? Like, I want to follow in his footsteps. And you honestly just fall for it. But most of it's just bullshit.
Well, you know,
anyway,
the casinos are really successful too. You know,
yeah, true.
with all the flash and all the lights, they get the people keep coming in and coming in and coming in and dropping their money in there, you know, but then they're getting more and more and more addicted, which is what happens when people use that kind of advice, like we just are seeing from whatever the guy's name is. We're looking at his videos now. I don't even know his name.
Yeah, Jack. Yeah. And you know, hopefully one day some of these guys actually do accept, like, yeah, maybe what I was talking about wasn't actually that useful. I'm going to learn the beyond compulsion methods. You never know. They might do, and then they can share it to the people that listen to them, and that'd be amazing. And I'm going to do some, well, actually, we're going to do it in a minute. I want to start doing a few more podcasts and YouTube videos where I'm analysing my own shit that I used to say, and we'll do that in a minute, literally.
We're going to
because I
roast
watched
Tom.
back. Yeah, we'll roast me again. I mean, we've done this before, but I was one of these guys. Like, I know, like, firsthand how it can be so enticing to go on YouTube when you're on a long nofap streak and be like, hey guys, you know, I've mastered this addiction. Like, this is what I've been doing. When you're like meditating for 1 hour every day and like your whole life's just obsessed with like not watching porn in this unhealthy, weird cycle. So I was one of these guys. I own up to that, and I got it wrong. I got help from Mary. I've overcome it properly now. And we've got guys doing the same as me. So hopefully you can be one of them guys. Cheers for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.